Welcome to the joy of coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 34 of The Joy of Coding. I'm Mike Conley. I'm just trying to get my camera positioned right. How's it going? It's episode 34. It's another day, another great day to hack on Firefox Live. I'm actually just gonna... What? Wrong way. There, that's what I wanted to do. My chair is doing this neat sort of like half transparency thing because it's kind of green. Um, Anyways, let's get hacking on Firefox. What are we doing today? Let me show you my screen. Hey, here we are. So, a reminder, no plan survives breakfast, and we should just accept that. Things might go horribly wrong. We might not make progress today during our work. That's okay. We will deal with it, and we will be fine. Um, we're going to be working on another E10S M8 bug. I'm down to my last couple. This one I was working on last week as well, I think, which was to no longer use kapows. And if you're interested in knowing what a kapow is, I talk about it down here in the glossary for window closing. And I've got some notes you can read here, which might be useful to follow along. And speaking of following along, this entire agenda is available online for you to click on these links and check stuff out. So uh, if you want to get access to it, it's actually down below in the additional links section of this video if you're watching it on Air Mozilla. If you're watching it on YouTube, I haven't been very good about updating the descriptions with the agenda link. Maybe I'll get better at it. We'll see. But if you're watching this on YouTube, I apologize, and maybe go to Air Mozilla and see if you can fish out the link. Hope one of these days I'm going to update the descriptions. Okay, so let's get down to business. So here's this bug. Bug 1171708 and not using kapows for window closing. And good news is I've already got some patches written. I've already got a whole bunch of stuff going on to make this work, and I had to do quite a bit of mucking about. If you take a look at this patch series, there's quite a bit going on. I have to one thing you'll notice is I'm using like a lot of smaller commits to do things. That's sort of a nice workflow that MozReview and Review Board here at Mozilla allows us to do, is to do these nice small changes associated with a single bug. And so you can have this patch series that are atomically, they do very straightforward things instead of having just this huge, because if I looked at the squash diff, all these changes would be humongous. Like, look at all these changes. I'd have to review all of this stuff if I was a reviewer, and it'd be so much. It'd be so much to review. So whenever you break it down like this into the individual commits, that's quite nice. So I had to add the ability to flush an entire window. And by flush, I mean we send a message down to the tabs in a window and say, send up any messages. Because anytime you change something on your window, like you change your scroll position or you fill in some stuff in a form or something, the content process sends an update up to the parent. But it doesn't do it every time you do one of these things, but it queues up messages, and then every couple of seconds it will batch send it will send a single message for each of those changes up to the parent. So every couple of seconds it will just say, here's my update, here's my update. And so there's a little window of time, and the parent then caches that result. And so you can sort of make some guesses on what's going on in the content by looking at the cache and the parent. However, there are times when you really want to make sure that you know what page the user's on and what their scroll position is. And so what we can do is send a message down to the child saying, okay, now, even if you've got any messages queued up, just send them my way right now. And that's called a flush, whenever we flush the message queue in the child. And we'll do that. We do that for tabs right now. When you open a tab and you visit a website, like here's me at reviews or Bugzilla, I say I've got this tab open, and then I close this tab. Before the frame loader that's showing the tab content is garbage collected or destroyed, not garbage collected, but like dereferenced and deallocated in memory down in platform code, we wait until the last couple of messages come up from the child. And some of those messages are from the flush that we had sent down saying, give me all your latest stuff. And that way we ensure that whenever we're done flushing that tab, we can stuff the result into the session store, and so we know that when the tab closed, we had all the information that of what the state the tab was in if we were needing to restore that tab at a later time. What else did I want to talk about with this patch? Well, I don't really want to talk about too much. I don't want to like go through I'm just making sure that the stream is actually going. I'm looking at some traffic. Oh, okay. There was some confusion over whether or not this episode was actually going to occur. It is occurring, but I don't think that little hiccup ended up manifesting in any significant way. So I think we're okay. So there are a bunch of other changes, smaller changes that go up to like just this one-liner, basically this change here, and then this one's a little more extensive where we're actually going to flush a window. This is the one I think I'm going to work on today. And then there's a bunch of like test fixes. So this one here changes a bunch of our tests to flush windows before we close them so that they're up to date. And some of these tests had to be like completely redesigned, unfortunately, because they were just so hard to work with. Like, for example, the last patch in the series is a complete rewrite of a test because the test was just unwieldy to work with. It was just too hard to pick apart, so I rewrote it. And hopefully it's more readable now. I guess it's probably hard to tell. I'm just showing you colors and text, but the end result is, I think, more readable and certainly more maintainable. It's using add task instead of these callbacks that are crazy, and the tests are all isolated from one another instead of being dependent on one another, which is very important. Okay. So what do I want to do with all of this? I mean, I kind of have it working, so what's the dealio? Well, so why isn't any of this up for review yet? Simply because a comment that my likely reviewer, certainly the one who I want to go back and forth on this bug with anyways, Bill McCloskey or Bill M, noticed that it's possible that there's like a little there's an oversight in my code, and I want to investigate that during this episode. And maybe I'll spend just a second or two, not too long, explaining what that oversight might be, and then we'll go through it. I've got a lot of things open that might be noisy. Ooh. Let's get rid of all of these. Go away. Okay. And what do we want to look at? We want to look at Session Store. And we want to look at tab, state flusher. But I think it's mostly Session Store that we want to look at. So what Bill M is concerned about is the on-close event handler here in Session Store. So this runs anytime a window closes, and we used to synchronously scoop out the state of the window and then save it into this JSON blob called the session state so that you could restore a closed window. But because these windows and all their the tabs in these windows are now all in another process, we have to asynchronously query the tabs for their content. And like I said before, we have to wait until the flush is complete, and then we can make some good decisions based on what we've got. And I think what Bill M is worried about is right here. So I'm going to skip over a bunch of the stuff going on in this code. I don't really want to explain it. It would probably take too long. So we fire an event. We start removing event listeners from stuff. Then we get the window data. So already we've been holding on, like Session Store has this underscore Windows dict, and each window has its special identifier, and the Windows dict is keyed on that identifier, and the value in that map is window data, information about that window's state and all of its tabs. Like, and that can include things like the size of the window, where it was positioned, and then how many tabs, what were those tabs doing, stuff like that. Um, now, now we're looking at some of the modifications I made. I created a new cleanup window function, inline function here, because we've got two states we can be in. Either the session store is running or it's not running. And that we might not be running if like we're shutting down. So a window might close and session store is already completely shut down. I don't know what kind of window that would be, but if session store is not running, then none of this stuff in here makes any sense. And so we just do the leftover cleanup that's necessary for the window right away. But if we are running, then we do a lot of like sort of extra work to figure out certain things, and we record when the window was closed, and then we slurp out the state down here when we flush the window. This is what I've added. And as soon as we've flushed the window, then we clear the window from the list of windows that are open, and then we run the cleanup window inline function. So this function can run either immediately or asynchronously, depending on whether or not session store is running. And that's probably a comment I should put up here at some point. So maybe I'll just put a to do there. Comment on what this function does and that it might run immediately when on close is called, or asynchronously after a window flush. Okay, so that's one thing. And let's see, I want to play a sound. I think we're discovering good things about a session store, so I'm going to play a discovery sound. I always find that very satisfying. I also want to try and... Something I tried last week was to make this the joy of coding more relaxing. I've been watching The Joy of Painting with the great Bob Ross on YouTube, because it's been made available for free on YouTube, and he's got such a soothing voice, and he's so positive that I wanted to try and do something similar. So I'm going to try and be positive and calm despite playing
What happened?
silly sounds periodically. Maybe I'll need to phase out these silly sounds and like phase in more relaxing sounds, maybe like a loon call or a happy tree, maybe just the sound of wind blowing through trees to help relax you during this during the joy of coding. Let's stay focused. So the first thing we do is we collect an initial set of tab data from the window. And this tab map, I made this modification. The reason that I get this tab map back is because this is basically our cache, what we had already cached in the parent about these tabs, but it might be out of date. The cache might be stale, basically. And so what I do then is I, for each of the tabs that I've got in the tab map, I take the permanent key of the browser that's associated with the tab, and then I have this weak map on Session Store called closed window tabs that maps the browser permanent key to the tab data. And this is important because this is basically how all of this works. Tab data is being stored both here and inside this tab map, and like this tab data is also being stored inside the window. Like if we look at collect window data, like we create this tab map thing and we set tab data inside the tab map that we return, but we also push the tab data into the tabs array that WinData has. And WinData is being stored inside this underscore windows with a window identifier. So what that means is, the upshot is, now we have the same reference, or the same, like we have all of the tabs data being stored inside WinData.tabs, and we also have these individual tab data things being stored inside this closed window tabs mapped on the browser permanent key. And so, if a message comes up from a browser saying, "Hey, I've got an update. This is my final message," or "This is a flush update," then what will happen is we have a handler for that message elsewhere in this file that will then update the value, update the tab data value. And when you update this, because it's the same like object as what was stored in WinData.tabs, then WinData.tabs is getting updated too. The state is getting updated in there. And that's good. That's what we wanted. We wanted to make sure that WinData.tabs was up to date. So that's what's going on. What Bill M is concerned about is down here, where we make a decision based on whether or not we have savable tabs, whether or not like this window should even be put into the closed windows array, because we have an array of closed windows. Like when you close a window, we take the window data out of this underscore windows and we put it inside an array of closed windows, so that you could theoretically restore that window at a later time. And we make a decision whether or not we should put something into the closed windows array using this function called should_save_tab_state. So it looks through all of the tabs of a window and sees whether or not any of the tabs in there are worth saving. And there are a couple of things that are not worth saving. Let me explain. So if you've got a tab that, like, suppose there's only a single entry in its history, so it's never gone anywhere, and it's only about blank, or it's at about new tab, or it's at about private browsing, and then I don't really understand user typed value. I guess if the user typed in about new tab or about blank or about private browsing, then that will override the other choices. But like we'll make it so that we do save it. But if, for example, it's just a new tab page and it had been opened from some other window or something, and we close that window, then each tab, no tab will satisfy the should save tab state function, and so the window won't actually be saved. We won't save it in the closed windows array, and that's so we don't accidentally pollute the closed windows. Like here, let me show you. Under closed windows, I've got. Let me show you a build. Under history, under recently closed windows, here, let me open and close a window. These tabs I've got are they're just, I wasn't just reading Bruce Campbell's AMA, I was using them as testing tabs. Sure, I hear you say. Okay, so I've opened a new window, and now I'm going to close it. And then under recently closed windows, we accept, like we put it in the recently closed window array. However, if I just had this new tab page, and suppose I move this new tab to a new window, and then I close this window, I don't know. Nah, it's not added to the list. And so we don't accidentally pollute your recently closed windows with stuff that's just uninteresting, like just a new tab page that never went anywhere. But that decision that we make on whether or not we should save tab state is based on the old cached data. And if, for example, we had started to load a page in a tab, in an about new tab in a new window, but we hadn't yet received an update about the user's, like the tab state in the parent, then this could still say that we don't have savable tabs, and then we won't put the window into the closed windows array, and then we'll have lost one of the user's windows, and that's not good. So I think what we want to do is we want to I think we want to only make this decision of whether or not to put the window data into the closed windows array after we've flushed the window. So only after we've figured out whether or not, excuse me, the window is worth saving. And I think it might just be as simple as moving this inside the tab flusher callback inside the then. So let's think this through. We flush the window, then we check to see whether the window is private. And if it's not private, because we don't want to ever put private windows in the history, like the recently closed windows. We never want to do that. That's a bad idea. And I'm going to move my camera up a little. Boop. Oh, now you've got this like weird thing going on up here. Maybe I'll just do this and I'll lower my chair. Hi-yo. There we go. Now there might still be private information, like private tabs, that a window might contain, because it's possible that it's theoretically and with an add-on extremely possible that even in a non-private window you can have private tabs. So we filter out those tabs, and then this is when we figure out whether or not we need to have any tabs saved, and then we look through whether or not this is the last window. Closed windows, sum, win, should restore. So at this point the window is gone, so we can't actually do this analysis. We should probably do this analysis out here. When closing windows one after the other until Firefox quits, we will move these closed in series back to the open windows bucket for writing to disk. If however there is only a single window with tabs we deem not worth saving, then we might end up with a random closed or even a pop-up window reopened. To prevent that, we explicitly allow saving an empty window state. So is last window is if there's only one key left in this underscore windows and there isn't any other window that we should restore. What is this should restore thing? Oh, win data should restore. What's win then? Closed windows. Oh, you know what? We could totally do this in here. Because I thought win was going to be an actual DOM, like a window, but it's just the closed windows dict. So we're okay. We can do that in here. Has savable tabs or is last window. Delete. And then we put the win data into the closed windows array. And we call this cap closed windows. What is this? Cap closed windows is going to look at the closed windows array. It will resize closed windows to the value of the pref except in the case. So it's going to just make sure that the closed windows array is the right size. We have some kind of upper limit on it. Okay, and that doesn't require the DOM. So that's good. The DOM of the window. Because that's the whole challenge here, is that the window is going away, and by the time the tab state flusher has finished, sorry, I should remain calm. If I'm trying to do this like Bob Ross thing, I should remain calm. Let me just have some delicious natural water. By the time the tab state flusher is finished, even if it was really, really fast, like if there was only one tab, we've already escaped the onClose event handler and the close of the window has taken place. So by the time the tab state flusher flush window venable runs, or sorry, the callback passed into the then function runs, it's too late to access any part of the window. So that's what we have to be really careful about. And in fact, that might be a good thing to put in a comment in here. At this point, our window, a window. At this point, a window is closed. You cannot access tab elements, any part of the, should not, I shouldn't say cannot. If you hold a reference, you could, but you should not try to access any DOM elements from a window within this callback. So let's see if this works. Like, I don't know, we might have to come up with a good test for this. But let's just see what the behavior is. So I'm going to shut down this, and then I'll call mgo. So if I open up, move to a new window and close the window, I get it in there, and it's got the old window I'd opened as well. I can restore this window. And I can, what else can I do with this? What if I like quickly browse to a place and then close the window? Let's see how fast it'll update. Boom, boom. So under recently closed windows, hey, it knows I was going to the CBC. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. And now it remembers what the page title had been. How about my scroll position? Like if I quickly scroll down and then close this window. So let's see if it remembers where I had scrolled. Yes, and it puts me in the right scroll position. Hey, not bad. Not bad, people. Still, it'd be nice to be able to like test some of this stuff as well. Like, I'd love to be able to be sure of this. But I think we've got it working. Like, I think we've got what we need working here. I would like to get Bill M's feedback. One of the problems is that, like, I'm doing all this handling for the closed window down here, and we do something similar for the closed tabs up here in the receive message. For closed tabs, we deal with tabs up here. It's for closed window tabs that we do some work up here. And it's possible that what Bill M wants me to do is just to move all of the stuff I'm putting into the tab state flush window callback into here. But the problem with that is that I only want that to run when all of the tabs have finished flushing. And this callback is only gonna, like, this message is received for each tab as it's done flushing. And so I only want to do like things that make sense whenever an individual tab has closed in here, is my case on that matter. So that's great. What else do we want to do here? I mean, that's what I wanted to do. And I had fixed a bunch of tests. I had checked them all off here. Yeah, I got this one too. So I think, hopefully you can see this. Oh, you know what? I'm looking at my screen, and yeah, the bottom of my Evernote is being cut off. I don't know why. Maybe the dimensions of my screen no longer match what I'm sending out through OBS. Maybe they never have. In which case, you've never been able to read whatever I've been putting at the bottom of my Evernotes. But I'm sorry about that if that's the case. Let me write something out. So I think I've got this working, and I think I've also addressed Bill M's feedback. Bill M was concerned that the decision over whether or not the window data should go into the closed windows dict object, whatever, was being made too early before we'd finished flushing all tabs in the window. I think moving that logic into the tab state flusher flush window callback has addressed this concern. Although I'd really like to test it. So one thing we can do, just not without writing our own test, is to run the current suite of tests for Session Store. That'd be a good idea. It's going to take a couple of minutes, and whenever that happens, I kind of lose the ability to focus on various things on the window because like it's well, I'll show you. So run Session Store tests, and I'll run it without E10S first, and you'll see what I mean. And what can I do when I'm running these tests? Oh, something crashed on the way down. Well, that was my local build, so sending a crash report would be no good. Maybe we can look at that later. So this is me running all of the Session Store tests. And unfortunately, when I run them, yeah, if I were to like focus on my Evernote or something, it would pause, it would halt the test, or halt a number of the tests because they depend on, or they wait for focus on a window. But this shouldn't take too long. I think this takes about a minute. In the meantime, we can think about how we would want to write a new test to test the stuff that Bill M was concerned about. Let's see. So you can open a window and close it very quickly. If it'd be nice if we could find a way, and it wouldn't surprise me if there was a way of guaranteeing that we have not done a flush on the, or we haven't received any messages from the child yet. So you like open a window and then close it immediately. You open a window at a particular place, you close it immediately, and then make sure that the closed windows stuff is up to date. Would probably be good. Oh, what's going on here? Is our test hung? Our test has failed unexpectedly. Aha! And that's causing a problem. Invalid index in line 2031 of Session Store. So something is attempting to access closed windows. See, I think we've introduced a problem. And it's not so much a problem of it's not so much a problem as it is like a we have to make sure that whatever is calling undo close window in this test, we have to make sure that it's waited until all of the final messages have been sent up from the child, and that the tab state flusher has finished running. So let's see, how would we do that? Well, what's this test? This is all these window state events. I hope this isn't an ugly test. I hope this isn't an ugly test. It's an old school test, but it's not too bad. A lot of callbacks. Okay, and where is the failure occurring? The failure is occurring, where was the test? What was the test trying to do? Prepping for test undo close window. And then running test undo close window. So it's down here. So what's good is I could like shut these off. I could looks like I can probably turn these tests off and maybe just run this one test in isolation. So I'm going to quit. I'm going to run this one test. It's at browser components session store browser 615 something or other 394. Whoop, under the test directory, of course. Whoop. This is not my normal keyboard. Normally I know how to get to the end of the line. There we go. We're gonna run this one test. Also, if you want to chat with me while I'm working on this stuff, I'm in IRC. Come talk to me. I'm in irc.mozilla.org in the live hacking IRC channel, #live hacking. And so if you have any suggestions or stuff you want to see, or maybe you've got an idea of how I can fix my bug, come talk to me. Actually, fun fact, I recently made contact with someone who'd been watching this stream, and then I mentored them on a bug. They found a bug that I was set to mentor, and I worked with them, and it just landed yesterday, last night, maybe this morning, and their code landed, and they said they had a great experience. So maybe you want to do that too. If you're interested in working on a bug or something, come talk to me. Could have a good time. So yes, we do have this failure here when we run this one test, and that's test undo close window. So we can ignore all the other tests. Let's just look at what this does. This test, this test sets up a new window and a reopen window variable, and then we register a notification for the first window observer. And so then we wait for browser state. New window. Okay. So what it's doing is it's waiting for the first window to open, and then wait for browser state. I don't think I know this one. Browser components session store test head.js. Wait for browser state. Let's have some state/entries. So what it'll do is there must be only hidden tabs and restore hidden tabs. Register cleanup. Sure. Wait for browser state. So it's going to blast some state down to session store is what's going to happen. Some lame multi-window state is going to go in. And so a new window will probably be opened because that state will result in a window opening. And then we close the window, which isn't window. And then we give it time to close. I'll bet you if we give it even more time to close, this will pass. So let's find out. So instead of saying execute soon, I'm going to say set timeout 5 seconds. Let's give it 5 Canadian seconds. And then our theory will be right, I think. Is that it's just not waiting long enough for the flush to complete. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey! That is the problem. So it's not waiting long enough. This execute soon, insufficient. Let's see. So what should we do instead? Well, we should, instead of doing new window.close, we should use browser test utils, close window, new window, because browser test utils close window is going to wait until the final messages have been sent up from the child, and that I think is long enough. So like if I move this into here, I don't need to do new window close again because that's what close window is going to do. And I'll close this up, and then let's see if that passes. Hey, that's exactly what we wanted. Now, is this execute soon still necessary? I suspect not, but maybe. Let's find out. Let's get rid of it. Note, I don't have to rebuild whenever I change these tests. I can just run them right away, which is very handy. Something about symlinking. Hey, I don't need execute soon. That's good. I should make sure of that. This is kind of, as soon as you're dealing with asyncy stuff, okay, I'm going to go Bob Ross style on you. Hey, suppose you're doing stuff asynchronously all the time, and your test is like exercising some of that. Races happen, and that's okay. But a good way to smoke out some of those nasty races is to run the test a number of times just to make sure that you don't have a race. Because intermittent oranges, you just want to beat the devil out of them. That's my Bob Ross impression. It doesn't really sound like him, but okay, we have this thing called run until failure that we can use. That's going to run this test 30 times. 30. And we will see if we catch an intermittent orange, or catch it failing any of these times. So far, so good. And if this works, then I'm going to turn all the tests back on in this file. And then I'm going to run all the session store tests again. Oh, I should also test this with E10S. There shouldn't be any reason why it won't work with E10S, but I should use the E10S flag just to be sure. The worst thing is to find out that you're responsible for a test failure on a push.
It's me, Mario!
It's not Mario's fault, it's yours. And you have to, whenever you push to the tree and the test fails, you just kind of have to accept the responsibility, but look to it as an opportunity to learn something new about our testing infrastructure. That's the positive spin.
That's right!
Again, these sounds are really not that calm. They're very, I mean, let me see if I can find a more, a calmer sound. Really calm.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably about as calm as it gets in this collection. Or, it's not calm at all.
Mamma mia!
Alright, well, the good news is that we passed. We passed those tests. I'm going to run this test real quick with E10S enabled. You know what? Let's just re-enable all the other ones as well while we're at it. Where is that list of tests? It's up here. Maybe there's some sounds you can recommend to me. Let me know. Hey, and we fixed our failing test. That's good. So let's keep running these session store tests. Let's just keep her going. Keep working our way through. I keep slouching out of frame. I should probably have some kind of app for that. So it already looks like there's a bunch of infrastructure in place for these session store tests that'll allow me to do this sort of thing of like, well, actually, we're already testing. I think the test that we just fixed is kind of testing what we wanted to test. Like, it had... I think it is anyways. I'll look at the code again once the tests are done, but it's possible we already have a test for this case. These tests that run a little bit slowly right here, where there's just like, those always freak me out, because it makes me think that a failure has occurred. Test, 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 test. I wish I could run these tests and still use my browser, or still use my machine. It'd be nice if, like, We could have them run on an X server or something that my machine hosts, and then I didn't have to worry about all this. I could have sent this set of patches down to my virtual machine. I could run the test down there. I don't know if it's worth it. See how much time it would buy us. How long is this test run gonna go for? If it buys us more than 2 minutes, then I will consider next time just sending down the patch to my... How long did that take? Oh, and I still got a failure. I have another failure. How long did this take? How long did this take? Failure. Stop. You're not going to tell me how long that took? Is this a count of seconds down here on the side? I hope not. That'd be forever. Oh man, it didn't even... Oh, application ran for 1:46. Okay. That's not so bad. But we have a failing test again. Let's check it out. This is another one of those old crufty tests. Windows should be restorable. Should be added. This is another thing that I think is testing what we want. And I'll bet you what's happening is we need to use don't use DOM window closed. That's not waiting long enough. DOM window closed. DOM window closed. Register no. Oh, so this isn't going to work. So, okay, so here's what this test is doing. This test opens a window, and as soon as the window's open, it like runs some stuff, and then it closes the window. As soon as the window is closed, then it will like do the check and run the next test. But DOM window closed is fired like too late, or sorry, too early, far too early. We still have like to hear back from those messages from the children. So instead of using DOM window opened, I think this isn't amazing, but I might need to rewrite this test a little bit. Yeah. Because what we should be using instead of DOM window opened and DOM window closed, like I could hack around and try and make this work, but I think what we want to do is use a lot of the built-in goodies inside of browser test utils, which if you're not familiar with and you're writing browser tests, this is the best stuff, and it's all E10S friendly. And specifically, it's good for things like whenever we close the window, it'll make sure that the last session store messages are heard before it resolves. Like it makes sure that all the session store stuff is done before proceeding and resolving the promise. Also, it's promise based, which is really, really nice. So I think what we're about to do is rewrite this test. That's what this episode is turning into, is rewriting this test. What time is it? It's 1:48. I'm going to do this until 2:30. I think I can get this done before then. Here's what we should do, though. Let's take a look at the diff. We should probably commit what we've got. I've got a couple of to-dos in there. It's not so bad. So I'm going to commit... what do I want to do? I actually want to commit the changes to sessionstore.jsm down here on this like whip patch part. Where is that? I know it's kind of hard. I've got two long patch queues in parallel. I should really look at hlog or hdlog. It's this one. This is the one I want to update with my changes. And I actually want to take that out of whip. It's no longer a whip, I'd say. And I'm going to say, let's commit the session store stuff. Commit browser component session store.jsm, and commit amend, which is going to actually put the changes in that commit, create a new SHA, and then we have to like evolve the dependent change sets on top of it. I think this will work. I'm going to take this out of whip now. Oh, abort. I didn't commit my changes, my other changes. So, oh yeah, so the amend worked, but the evolve won't work because this stuff is still in here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to shelve them. And then evolve. Evolve! Evolve! Let me turn off notifications. How do I turn off notifications? I don't want to see notifications. Close. Options. How do I turn off notifications? I don't want to delete my account. I just don't want to see notifications during my streaming. Alright. Anyways, so we've got our evolution occurred. It's occurred, and now I've got a fix for a test that's in the shelf. I'm going to unshelve it. And so now we've got this change here, and so I'm going to say that this is actually, you know what? I should really put this inside of fix session store tests. I should actually put that here. So I'm going to update to there. I'm going to commit, amend, and HG evolve all at once. Yeah, if you ever see an unstable change set, it's because you've like rewritten history a little bit. And Mercurial lets you do that in a safe way. Unlike Git, it lets you do it in a way that's actually shareable. You can share it between, or Git will like, if you rewrite history, you have a problem in terms of collaboration with other people. And yeah, you can untangle that maybe someday, but like Mercurial really does a good job of making sure you don't blow your foot off with history rewrites. And so now this commit message on top is no good either. I think I'm gonna change that as well. Wait a second. Where did I had a different change set on top of here? I had this potentially fix last intermittent orange. I had something else. I had rewrite this thing to be more tasky. Do I not have that anymore? It doesn't know about it. Is it hidden? Glog hidden. So what's this thing? Temporary commit. Export hidden. Huh. Oh, you know why? Because I did all that work. Oh, shoot. I did it in my Linux VM. Okay. How are we going to resolve this? I should pull this stuff down. I should pull this down. HG. Let's pull that stuff down. So what have we got here? Potentially fix. So I want to get rid of this. I think we want to make sure that these work properly, these two together. And then we want these two. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to strip off the top. And then hold on a second. I should make sure that... Paste. Okay. So I'm going to rebase. This is going to be interesting to tip. I'm going to rebase this and this on top of this and see if like the merge goes properly. I can't say with a whole lot of confidence that it will. Yeah, rebase, abort. That's not going to work. Shoot. So I've got these two, like, this changed. Because I commit amended to it. And I'm pretty sure I didn't change this previous one. I should make sure though. How many times did this change? Only twice. And I think it was like, yeah, I didn't mess with these. I think I'm okay. I don't think I need this one anymore. And it's up here. If I really lose it, I can find it again. It's up here. So I'm gonna rebase these two. Here, I will rebase 309.754 to tip onto 309.752. And then I'm gonna, oh, it doesn't like that. Why not? Component session start test. Oh, I know why. HG rebase abort again. Because the stuff in potentially fixed last intermittent orange needs to go away. Rebase abort. So we want to rebase instead on top of this change set. Then we're going to get rid of this change set. We don't need it anymore. Because actually, I just rewrote the test instead of doing all this like experimental fixing. So I'm going to get rid of prune that. Okay. So what do we got? And then we've got this old change setup. Let's see. Just log. I don't think I need this one anymore. I think I want to update to the tip. Bookmark, async, close window. And I think we want to prune this. Right? D8? Yeah, prune the old one. And then I think we have everything we need. So, what do we have? Rewrite browser to be more tasky. Browser test utils. Async window flushing. Have session store. All that business. Yep. Yep. And that's right. That's what we wanted. And in the code itself, we should have our browser test utils change in here. Yes, here it is. And in session store, we should still have all that stuff jammed into, yep, here it is, jammed inside the flush window call. Done. Good, 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 good. I feel good about that. And we're there, so I'm gonna build faster. And then I'm going to, what am I going to do? We were gonna rewrite this test. That's good. So we've cleaned up the tree a little bit. We've cleaned up the commits. Now we're going to rewrite this test. Browser 490040. Let's do it. We've got half an hour. So let's...
Here we go!
let's get down to business. So these old school tests use like this test function, like that is just called, and then you say wait for explicit finish, which means that, oh, this thing is going to be an async test, and as soon as like finish is called, finish is another global, as soon as finish is called, that's when it knows that, okay, well, the test is done. And that's not really the way we like to do it anymore. We have these nice add task functions that will allow us to do this. Test bug 490040. That's what I'll call it. And so what is this going to do? Here, we're going to copy this. I want that. That's going to be useful. Actually, maybe I'll just set it as a const states equals that. I'll take this and I'll put that here. And maybe I'll clean up this indentation now. Up, up, up. Just clean this up a little. Okay. So we have these states, and then what do we want to do with them? Test with state is called down here. If states.length. So the first thing this thing does is it does run next test and then checks the state's length. Otherwise, it just clears this pref. Okay, so it's mucking about with prefs as well. Cur closed window count is going to, we can store the window if needed. Okay, so this is just like a hack to make sure that we're not in some weird state where we can't like store another window. Because remember, we have that storage cap on closed windows, so this is bumping up the cap to always be more than one than our current number of closed windows. So, and we have this helper for setting prefs called push prefs. So yield push prefs set, and then browser.session store max windows undo, and then cur closed window count. And that will automatically get popped off once the test is done, which is nice. We don't have to undo it ourselves. That's a nice feature. Okay. And then we set up the observer, and then we open a window. So there's a better way to open windows now. Instead, like, it waits for the window to open, and then it like adds event listeners for load, and then it does all this business. What we should do instead, I think, a state test with state. State windows tab. Close the window as soon as the first tab loads, or immediately if there are no tabs. Okay. So which state are we doing? Window open state. So test with state. Oh, so it's going to go through each one of these. I understand. Okay, so for let state of states, what we're going to do is it's going to pass in this state. What's it going to do with the state? It's going to set the state down here. Okay. After the window's been opened. So yield let win equals yield browser test utils. So we've got these nice window opening functions now, which is great. It's not doing anything special opening the window, right? No. Chrome dialog, no, no, no. Location. Huh. What's location? Window dot location. Oh, I understand. Okay. So it's just going to open up a blank. So new window. Wait for new window, and then there's like open new browser window. Yeah, that's what we want to do. Yield browser. Open new browser window. Boom. And then as soon as the window is opened and loaded, we check to see if the states Windows 0 tabs entries length is greater than 1, and if so, then we wait for the we wait for the tab to load. First tab loads. So if here we'll go. We'll do this. Close the window. As soon as the first tab loads, or immediately if there are no tabs. However, wait, what? Register notification. Set window state. How will it have? Oh, I understand. Not in the actual session store state, but in the state that we're iterating here. Okay. So if state, if there's a tab, then yield browser test utils dot browser loaded win.gbrowser dot selected browser. Open new browser will wait until delayed startup is finished. So maybe that's too late, but we'll see. We'll see. Browser loaded. And then we close the window. Yield browser test utils, close window, win, and then ss set window state, the win. The win in this case is just win. And then state dot window state, and then true. That can all be one line. Set window state. Oh, we should do that first before we close the window, of course. And then we close the window, because that happens in these execute soons. So we set the state, then the window closes, and then after the window closes, then we do these checks. Is the get close window count. If the cur close window count state should be added. The window should be restorable. And then it runs the next one. And then it pops this off, and then we're done. So I think we've basically encapsulated the functions of this test in a much smaller space. And let's see if it works. Let's make sure this doesn't execute. Let's see what this does if we run this. Test, and then browser 490.040. There might be some syntax errors. We'll see. Okay, doesn't like it. Oh, I gave it a Get pref type. Illegal value. Session store max windows undo. Did I give it the wrong string here? Browser. Session store. Oh, that's right. And then we set to cur closed window count, set int pref. So did I do this wrong? Head push prefs. Oh, it's I see. I don't say set. I just pass an array. Gotcha. I thought that it was just a straight pass through to push pref env, but it's not. We are stuck. And I have a feeling it's because of this. Close the window as soon as the first tab, or immediately if there are no tabs. I think this browser loaded thing is going to take care of that because it's waiting for the delayed startup. So the browser will have loaded. So I think we can take that part out safely. Except we got failures all over the place. That window should not be restorable. Got one, expected 0. We passed one test. We failed the others. That window should not be restorable. Got one, expected 0. Got one, expected 0. Cur closed window count plus state should be added. Will be either 1 or 0. So state shouldn't be added for the others. So this will be 0. And so the cur closed window count is 0. But it's actually 1. Why is that? So it shouldn't be 1, but it is 1. Should I be like refreshing this each time? Cur test? Yeah, I should. Yes, that's what's going on. Here. Max windows. Sure, we can store the window if needed. Max window undo. Current closed window count. Starting. I should call this starting closed window count. I'll call this starting instead of current. And then I will say let current closed window count equal ss.get closed window count. Cur closed window count is not, because I should call it current instead of cur. It's these little things that get you. But that's okay. It's all good. Bob Ross style. Just let it happen. Let the test happen. Like that, 4 passing tests. We have successfully rewritten this test, and I think it's right. I think we're doing the right thing here. We're setting the window state after we've seen that the window is loaded, and then we close the window, and then after the window's closed, we check the closed window count. And so I think we've done the right thing. We can get rid of all this old crufty code. And now look at how nice and compact our test is. It's this tiny little test. It's so compact. There's no callback spaghetti. It's just this little loop. It's like the number of states is far bigger than the far bigger than the test itself. Only windows with open tabs are restorable. Windows where a lone tab is detached may have closed tabs, but it is left with just an empty tab. Yeah, I have a feeling we've done the right thing. So I'm going to commit this as a rewrite. Bug 1171708. Rewrite browser 490400 to use browser test utils to be more tasky. And who knows if Bill M's going to end up reviewing all of these. He might not be. He might not be the right guy. Might be Tim Taubert that I want to look at all these. But that's good. So now let's go back and run all of our tests again. And see what else fails. Maybe something else will shake out. Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo, boop-boop-boop-boop-boop-doo. I'm still thinking about how I can test the scenario that Bill was talking about. Where like I open a window, and what do I want to do? I want to change the Windows state, and then quickly, like change it quickly and then close it, and make sure that the closed Windows state has that change that I put in. That's the test. Like I don't want to give the tab enough time. Oh, I want to. Oh, for Bill's specific case, it's making sure that the closed window state is saved if I like open up a window and initially it's not something that should be saved, and then I quickly like browse the tab and then I close it really, really fast. I think I can write that. I think I can write that in this episode. Maybe if all these pass, if we I got a good feeling. I got a good feeling, people. Although I really should also run these. Hey, we passed all the tests. Let's run it with --e10s too, just to be sure.
Oh, yeah.
These are great results. Great results. It's running with E10s, especially because there are some tests that are disabled without E10s. Normally it's the other way around, where there are certain tests that are disabled with E10s, but for Session Store there are a number that are disabled without E10s, and those specifically have to do with crash tabs and the state of crash tabs. So we will figure that out soon. And by figure that out, I mean we will run those tests, those crash tab tests, in this run, because we're running with the --e10s thing. And you know how I can tell we're running with --e10s? Because they've got that bloody spinner in the middle of all these tabs. And there was a crash tab right there, so we're testing the crash tab thing. More crash tab stuff. Just making sure that we can restore and revive our crash tabs, because that's very important.
Okie dokie.
Oh! 2 failures. And it's in the test we just wrote. That was unexpected. And only with E10S. Whoa, and now we've got like different numbers. What happens if I run it again? Repeat it 5 times. So notice how many failures do we have? We have 11 failures, and that was after 5 test runs. Interesting. Seems to like being off by 1, or like we're always off just by 1. We close the window, we set the state. Wait, current closed window count. Get closed window count. Then we close the window. Okay, let's just run it once. Let's not complicate ourselves. Complicate things here. And which one fails? We start the test and then the first one fails. The first one fails. So I'm going to get rid of these others. Let's just try and reduce the problem as much as we can. Oh, I was so happy. I had this test rewritten. It was so beautiful. Okay. We've got our very small case here where this should be restorable. And I wonder if it's because we need to wait for this. Like, open new browser window. We set the window state, and then maybe. Oh, you know what we were doing before with the okay, if state dot windows state dot windows dot tabs dot length, then what we should do is yield for that right after. Yield browser test utils browser loaded win.gbrowser selected browser. I think that's what it wants. Whoop, that's my alarm that says that this episode is almost up. And we still failed. Oh, state, windows tabs. State, window, state, windows, Oh, Windows 0. Windows is an array. Excuse me. Hey, that passed. Let's put these others back. All right, now let's run it without E10S. Hooray! So now I'm going to run, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to end the episode by running the E10S test suite for Session Store, making sure it all passes. If it does, that's a victory. Even if it doesn't, that's a mystery. But it's okay. We can solve those. Look how capable we were just now in deducing what the problem was. Like, we figured it out. That's awesome stuff. Thumbs up. And we made this test so much more readable. I have a feeling if we were trying to debug it in the form of the old test, it'd be a nightmare to figure out what was happening. But we've got these nice promises, and we've got this add task business that makes it so much more readable to test async stuff. It's so good. So good. And this test suite is almost over. I'd say it's about halfway done now. I think it goes up to like 1,400 or so in terms of the number of steps. Maybe I'm wrong. Now's a good opportunity to tell you, or to appeal to you, if there's anyone out there watching this who's part of the Mozilla community, development community. Maybe you're doing QA, maybe you're doing writing software, maybe you're bug sheriffing, triaging, or who knows what you're doing. Maybe you're designing. Era Mozilla needs more shows. It needs more shows of people doing wicked stuff in the community, and I think it'd be great if we had some more of them. So come talk to me. Come talk to myself or Richard in the Hash Live Hacking channel. And we can hook you up with the software that you need in order to do a show like this. We'll tell you the steps you need to go through in order to set up a show. It's a lot of fun, and it shows people what we do, and I think that's pretty cool. The other thing I want to point out is that this show is now being syndicated. Is that the right word? You can, like, subscribe to it. Hey, they all passed.
Oh yeah.
What a way to end the show. This show is now being, like, you can subscribe to this URL in both iTunes, Kodi, or any other sort of like stream application, I would imagine, that has feed reading capabilities, and you'll never miss another episode if you just subscribe to this URL. And I think that's all I want to talk about. And so I think I'm going to call this episode done. We did it! Thank you so much for watching episode 34 of The Joy of Coding. I hope it was a pleasurable experience. I hope it was somewhat relaxing. I feel like we made progress. I hope you do too. And I will see you next week here on The Joy of Coding. Ta-ta!
The joy of coding.
Bye!